Here's the basics on how you create pattern swatches in Illustrator. So basically the way most tiles are going to be, or tiles are ultimately will be no matter what you want, they're going to be squares like this. Ignore that fill right there. And whatever size document you want here, it doesn't really matter as long as it's not itsy bitsy teeny weeny 1 by 1 pixels. But the way this works is simply you put something in here, anything at all. Watch, I'll put this in here. And if you want to make a tile out of it, you just drag it in here. First off, I also suggest lining things up. But no matter what, when you drag it in here, it's going to turn into a tile. And it can be used as a fill. So just like a color, just like I can change the color here, I can add that fill. Now, a lot of times students make their tiles too big the same way I just did. So what do? Just make your tile smaller. And drag it back in there. If you hold down Alt, you can override the other one, but I don't expect students to remember keystrokes, so just let go of it. And then select the shape you're trying to fill, and then apply that new fill. And maybe delete the old one. So what's this talk about seamless tiles? So that's how you make a tile. So what's this talk about seamless tiles and how does it work? Well, basically, watch. Right? So what if I was trying to make this into a seamless tile? How would I do that? Well, here's how you would do it. Basically, this guy needs cut right in the middle. So in other words, this needs cut perfectly in half. So what you do, drag this over. And by the way, make sure you always scale your tiles up while you're making them, because then you've got more increments to work with. I'm going to press Control Y. It helps me out here. But I'm going to cut this right down the middle, just like that. Okay, that should be lined up right in the middle now. And then I'll hold down Alt, drag this over, hold down Shift 2 to keep this straight, and go like that. Then I'm going to try and line this up right in the middle. There we go. That's good enough. Right, and then I'll use the shape builder tool to cut off the ends here. Now, I don't expect this to look amazing or perfect, but check this out. What's happening is that. I'm going to get a repeating tile that looks like that. The idea? You can do that top to bottom. Whatever you put in the middle, it doesn't really matter. You know, anything that's in the middle is just, it's just whatever. It's going to repeat the middle. But these edges are what touch and what repeat. So let's say I had a circle here, for example, and I cut this circle in half. So there was one here. By the way, pick a different color, maybe like black and orange or something like that. Okay, fine. So I'll make this intersect there. Drag this down at the bottom, make this intersect at the bottom. Use a shape builder to cut this part out. And now this should repeat top to bottom, like that. Now you can make some pretty complicated tiles. I mean, really complicated tiles this way. Now look at that. A lot of times I like to just see if it works using this method. And it's a lot of Alt and then holding Shift to keep everything straight. That seems to work. So if I took this guy and I turned it into a tile, then well, actually, I'm not liking this guy because he's a little bit huge. So let me take this thing and make it a little bit smaller. By the way, you don't have to do what I just did. You could just drag this straight out of here like that. See? And then you could resize it. And then you could drag it back right back in if you wanted to, if it were bothering you. But I just noticed a mistake. I didn't have the bottom circle selected whenever I drug this in there in the first place. This time I'll hold down Alt and I'll just override the old one. You don't have to do that. You can just make a new one, delete the old one if you want. But I sounded like Porky Pig there for a minute. You hear that? But check this out. Pretty cool, right? There you go. Seamless tile. Now, it can get a heck of a lot more complicated than that. Let's go ahead and look at an example. So if you go into the swatches panel, for the swatches library, I should say. So let's go into the swatches panel, click this button for the swatches library, and you'll see some of this stuff, which I think is pretty cool. You can go up here to swatches, or patterns, I'm sorry. How about nature? This is some crazy looking stuff. And you can drag these guys out and see what they're made of. So that's what this one looks like. Notice this has like an invisible box back behind it. That's what this guy is. I'm going to ungroup it. That's another way to cut things up and avoid using the shape builder tool. But this is just nothing. See, there's nothing. There's a box here. Actually, let me get that out of the way. There's another box behind that box. See it right there? That becomes the clipping mask for this, which is another way to make tiles. But I'm not going to try to confuse things and make this a super crazy long video. I'm trying to just give you the basic lowdown of how this works. That's how you make a seamless tile, and you just drag it in there, and there you go. If you had a fancier whatever, it really wouldn't make a difference, you know. It doesn't really make a difference what it is. It could be the face of a human being split in half right here, right? It really could. This could be super complicated, and the tiles would work exactly the same. I mean, this could be half of Elvis's face, and this could be the other half, and they would blend together. I don't know why I said Elvis's face, but I thought it'd be fun. I could make that an example, but then we'd be sitting here, and you'd be watching a super long video that doesn't need to be that long. So I hope this fills you in on the basics of how to create pattern tiles in Adobe Illustrator.